We got locked in the staring dance. We were bending all the rules in the middle of the room. In the middle of a noisy room. In the middle of the room. In the middle of a crowded room. In the middle of the room. We were breaking all the rules. We were breaking all the rules. We were breaking, we were breaking, we were breaking it all. We were breaking, we were breaking, we were breaking it all. We were breaking me, we were breaking my feet, we were breaking so.
Aloha Friday, everyone. Welcome to the Aloha Friday video podcast produced by the Sandwich Islands Social Network. We are a 501c3 nonprofit serving Hawaiians and Hawaiians at heart away from their island home. You want to learn more about the Sandwich Islands Social Network? Lower right-hand side of your screen, sandislands.org is where you can find information out about the Sandwich Islands Social Network. We want to thank Big Island resident Charles Ricardo. You'll see his name up there in the upper left-hand corner. And for letting us use his music, let me just say Charles Ricardo was one of the original members of Summer. Ooh, you got to be a baby boomer to remember Summer. They came out the same time as Kalapana. Charles Ricardo is also part of that great group called Kohala. And he said, "Brian, you can use our music." So mahalo, Charles. Appreciate that. Appreciate that very, very, very much. All right, waiting very patiently in our green room. You know, we do have a virtual green room, and we fly in smoked marlin from Big Island. We get a sushi platter over there, and enjoying the smoked marlin and the sushi platter is a friend of mine. He is a stand-up comic. He is an actor. He is a podcaster. He is the first Samoan to do stand-up comedy on American TV. This is none other than Mr. James Money. What's up, James?
Oh, sorry. Finger licking good.
Finger licking good. You know, James, you recently sold out the Blue Note in Hawaii in the middle of the week. That is unheard of, bro. Like on a Wednesday, right?
So, yeah, I mean, it looks good on paper,
Yeah.
but it's actually better to do in the middle of the week here in Honolulu because you're not competing with anybody. The weekends, you know, you got to compete with all these mainland comics that are passing through or concerts. And so Wednesday night, it's like nobody's performing. I'll do it.
That's the secret, right? That's the secret.
Yes,
Okay.
Life
Well,
hacks.
well, James has performed at major comedy clubs in Las Vegas on the West Coast, worked on projects with Dave Chappelle, Wanda Sykes, David Spade, and currently is with a podcast, 808 Viral, the podcast. That's right out of Honolulu here. And so we asked James to come on board and to join us for our little virtual pa'ina. So thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And here's a little
Thanks for having me.
known fact about James. His daughter, Tyla Reese Mane, the big number 14, she is 6'1". She is an outside hitter on the Rainbow Wahine Volleyball squad. And
Yes.
so one of the reasons why I wanted to have James, not only because he's a good buddy, but his daughter is, ooh, so cute, so cute.
I'll always remember her like this, though.
We are so excited, both James and myself. We were talking earlier before we went on the air how excited we were to have. And I know he is very, the Hawaiian word is ha'a, very humble and very understated. I mean, he does not like the limelight and stuff, but too bad. Today we're going to turn on the limelight and the lemon light or whatever's, bro. We have right here in our virtual studios the legendary Coach Dave Shoji. What's up, Coach?
You know, what you said is perfect, because that's the reason Hawaii, I know you're humble, Coach, but to put you on the spot, which is usually what comedians do, that's the reason we love you, because you are just like the Hawaii style, local people, humble but very competitive.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
kudos to
Yeah.
you.
I am competitive, but it's all about the players. They deserve all the attention. The coaches just are in the background basically, but the players are the ones that do the work. They get on the court, they win, they lose, they're emotional,
Being
but
humble right
it's all
now.
about them. Yeah, it's all about
Busted.
them.
Busted. Busted.
The first thing he says, and he's humble. See, you represent Hawaii, and we thank you and
I,
we
I
love you very
I
much,
appreciate
Coach.
that. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. And as you and I were talking before the show, you come from your family, your mom and dad, hardworking, salt of the earth kind of folks, very understated as well. And one of the little known facts was your mom and dad were put in internment camp, back in the 40s over here, and they actually met in internment camp in Arizona. Is that right, Coach?
Yeah, Poston, Arizona was one of their internment camps. They met there. They knew about each other because the Japanese community back then was very small. My
Hmm.
my mom is from Chino, California, and her mom and dad were farmers, vegetable farmers. My grandpa, my dad's side, lived in Upland, which is
Hmm.
about 10 miles away, and they were in lemon. They had lemon groves, huge lemon farms. So, but they knew about each other, and then they finally met in Arizona.
Wow. Your
Yeah,
your your
pretty
d-
cool.
your dad, as you and I were talking, is an amazing athlete. In his day, played a number of different sports. Actually, um, got a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star as part of the 442nd Infantry Regiment at that particular time, and you come from that stock of hardworking, humble, incredible work ethic, and I think you parlayed that into whatever you do, Coach.
Yeah, well, my dad was an amazing person. He was an amazing athlete. He went to Pomona College. He played football, and he was like the tailback in a single wing football system. And a funny note about that, in his last game, he went through the line. They had no face mask, right? It was all open, just helmet. And he got all four of his teeth busted out and
Oh,
in the last game of his career. But he was an amazing guy. When he got back to Hawaii and the 442nd had all these sports, he was the softball pitcher. He bowled 185 average. He did everything. So he was an amazing person. Plus, after the war, he went to UCLA, got his PhD. He taught at the University of Hawaii. I grew up on the campus. I went to all the sports when I was a youngster. So we come from a very athletic family too. So that's where I got my start.
yeah. Here we have Bobby Agnew. He's a friend of mine. Lives actually. Bobby lives. This is Kay Bennett. She's saying, "Ha ole po alima. Happy Friday here. Mahalo for dropping in, Kay. Keeping the West Wing alive and well. Here's Bobby Agnew, who lives up in Lancaster, California. Local boy, went to Kaimuki. He goes, Coach. Like you, I bleed green."
Yeah. We still go to all the games. We go to football, we go to baseball, we go all the women's volleyball games, most of the men's games. My sons who went to Stanford they still call me and ask me, "Did we win tonight?" And so, and they went to all the games too. So we definitely bleed green.
Nice. Here's C Honda. C Honda lives in Southern California. What's up, C? She's saying, Aloha Kamaka, welcome, Coach Dave and James. Wahine Volleyball. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. um, and, and talking about, I don't know, talking about the ascension of sports, it's like in your DNA already because your two sons continue the legacy of playing volleyball. They were in a U.S. national team, right? Um,
Yeah.
in the Olympics 2016, am I correct? In Rio de
Yeah.
Janeiro?
Kavika is older. He and Eric went to Rio, and then they made the team in Tokyo. And then Kavika's recently retired, so he didn't play this last time, but Eric went to Paris. So Eric's a 3-time Olympian. Kavika's a 2-time Olympian. So pretty
Wow.
awesome. Yeah.
Look at this
And
lineup, the Shoji lineup, man.
yeah, that's my daughter, Kobe. And I got to tell you a little bit about Kobe because she has a sports background too, but she married a football coach, which was good and bad, I think. But currently he is the defensive coordinator at Mississippi State. So
Oh,
I'm
wow.
leaving next week, yeah, to go watch some football. He's been at Alabama, Mississippi, South Carolina, Boston, New Mexico, Florida,
Wow.
Stanford. Yeah, that's the kind of life. That's what I meant by good and bad. They move a lot, but yeah, he's moving up, and they're struggling this year, but he's got a really great opportunity there at Mississippi State now.
Wow.
She went opposite of dad, whereas you stayed at one place for 40 years. He's
Yeah,
hopping all
yeah,
over the
yeah.
map.
Well, I think that's the nature of being a football coach. You just don't
Yeah.
stay that long in one place unless you're the head coach. But it's been really exciting to follow his teams and his career. So I'm going up next week and should have a good time.
Nice, nice, nice. Um, I want to just take a little, if you don't mind, I want to take a little trip down memory lane over here. I want to show you this picture. And this person is just looking over your back. She's right there on the left-hand side of the screen. Dr. Donis Thompson. Talk to us about the doctor here.
Well, she was the first athletic director at the UH. We had 2 sports back then. We had women's volleyball and track and field. She was a track and field person, so she felt very strongly about that sport, which was good for us. And then volleyball happened to be the other sport. But at the time, Chris McLaughlin was the coach. We had a program for 1 year, actually 2 years, and Chris McLaughlin just couldn't do it anymore. The broadcaster for K5 and Spectrum, longtime friend of mine, but he couldn't do it anymore. He was a full-time coach and teacher at Punahou. So he suggested me to Donis Thompson, and so I went in for an interview. It was kind of funny. She was like, "Oh, okay, well, I wasn't doing anything at the time. I was a student at UH in grad school." She said, "Okay, well, I'm going to hire you for a year, and then I'm going to look for a woman coach." And we got like second in the country that year, the first year, so she couldn't fire me. So she kind of put up with me, and then we actually won in my 4th year, and so that was it. She couldn't fire me after that and hire a woman. But anyway, that's kind of the story there. But she was an amazing person. She just pushed so hard. Her and Ray Nagle would get into these fights about money. Ray was, old school kind of guy, football guy. Everything went to football. And Donis would just fight like heck. She fought to get like a washing machine so we could wash the uniforms for the girls
Oh,
after the game. That's the kind of stuff she had to fight for. And we had very little gym time, and she fought for that. We had like 1 hour in the weight room, oh, 3 times a week. Just the battles that were going on between men and women's athletics at that time. But you can see now that she laid the foundation of where Wahine athletes are today. She was an amazing person.
When you walk through the facilities today, knowing how your start happened, do you walk around like, man, look at this arena, look at all the equipment they got, look at all? Are you that just walk around like, wow, they got it so good? Imagine if if I had all this when I started.
Well, I don't know about that, but in the early days, we didn't know any better. No one had any of
Mm.
that stuff. Yeah. So we went in. The men's basketball team was practicing, and then we'd have to pound on the door because their time was up, and we'd go in. We had to set up our own nets, sweep the floor, that kind of stuff, and we didn't know any better. The girls were like, "Okay, where are the nets? Let's do this." So they weren't spoiled.
Mhm.
Nowadays, someone else sets the nets up. They don't set the nets up. And so women's athletics have come a long way, but back then it was
Mhm.
just a matter of fact. That's what you did. That's what you did. Because we loved the sport, we did it anyway. We would have done it for free. I would have coached for free for many years, and I almost did coach for free, but um, that's just the way it was. And no one knew any better, so we didn't complain at all.
I hear you about that with the free thing because I'm volunteering at high school, coaching football. My daughter, when she was a junior in high school, said she wanted to play football, but because she was a soccer player, so as a kicker, but she didn't want to do it unless I was there. So
Yeah.
of course, I'm not going to stop her dream. So I went, and this was in 2018, 2019. It's now 2024. I'm still there, and she's left. Is like, so I am competitive, but part of it is the connection with for me, I guess the kids because they're still youth. But is that what, other than being competitive, is that what kept you around so long? Like, because you recruit people and you bring them to Hawaii, and then it's like it must be difficult. Must have been difficult for you to leave that last group. Is that something that you went through, or?
Well, it is because every year is a new year, and every year you get new players, and then you see other players develop. Not only on the court but off the court, they mature, and so you get to be a part of their lives for 4 years,
Mm,
or maybe sometimes 5, and so that's the part I really really missed, the connection with the players and relationships. And I actually talk and see and socialize with some of the older players to this day. Almost every week I run into somebody. The last person I run into now is Nohea Tano, whose sons play volleyball, and so I'm coaching one of her sons on a part-time basis, and so that's
Wow.
really the neat thing. And I'd say 95% of them we have good relationships. There's always a few bad. You just couldn't connect with somebody, and
Uh,
so, but
mhm,
for the most part, it's just been so positive. I saw Sarah Mason like 2 weeks ago at a game, and she ended her career at UH, and just
mhm.
I think she has like a PhD now and teaching and stuff, and so amazing stuff like that. I saw Lily Kahumoko over the summer, or saw her husband. She's still in Europe. I'm on Facebook with T. Williams, and she's got
Wow.
kids that are playing volleyball on a high level. Amazing, just stuff. Diane
wow.
Sebastian Pestalacy, Tom Pestalacy, we see every year. So those are the kind of things, James, that you're
Mm.
talking about, and that's the part I really, really enjoyed about the job.
Wow.
Yeah, because I coached with Wendell Say, who just retired from Aya High School. He's been there over 30 years, and now he's at Kamehameha Schools as an AD. But that's the thing that he would say, that what kept him there was the relationships with, molding its program that has boys to men, raising these kids, and
Yeah.
something I'm learning, and it never dawned on me. And when I tell people how amazing some of these coaches are, I didn't realize that some of our kids, and this is in the high school level, some kids, they don't have food when they go home. So like our coaches will bring sandwiches for with their own money, and that's what I started to pick up was, oh, it's not just the X's and O's, it's the relationship with people.
Exactly.
And then so
Yeah.
I was thinking, like, when I thought of you, I was like, oh, 40 years. It wasn't probably to that extent of, the kids aren't eating, but that you have that, you feel like, oh, I got to be there for these people, for these young women that are, going through college. And that's what I was thinking when Kamaka asked me to be on. It's like, oh, I got to ask him this, because there must be something in you that kept you there, that was more than just competing.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, James.
Yeah,
So I got 40 more years. I'll be at IA High School then.
I was looking at some of the notes over here that 1971, the women's athletic director, she was the first ever, Donis Thompson, and there was a $5,000 budget in 1971. Today, it's over $4 million. Back then, there were only 20 students in 1971, part of the women's athletic. And then today, there are over 200 female student athletes with a budget they have of $4 million. And so how that's grown amazingly. You were there at the start, and how it's just gone. And it's truly, truly amazing. Truly,
Yeah,
truly
more power
amazing.
to the women. They deserve just as much as the guys, and if not more. But they're still not equal, I would say.
Mm.
Some of the scholarships maybe not be equal. There's still facilities maybe not equal, but it's getting there, and deservedly so. Yeah, the women deserve just as much as the men.
Yeah, amazing.
Agreed. And you had a lot to do with the growth of women's sports, and even the community of, in Hawaii, watching, like, so recently the men's volleyball, with their success, and I'm not saying, one is better or one is worse, is because I remember growing up, I was a fan of Allen, um, but we always, my dad was a huge University of Hawaii fan, any sports. So we watched, University of Hawaii women's from, so since the 80s. And we still do today, even if my daughter wasn't playing. It was just part of something that, I guess, you're a humble person, but we see it as something that you built. Of course, like you said, the players had a lot to do with it. That's the names we remember, but we feel like you had a lot to do with it. So, kudos to you for building up the Hawaii community as far as volleyball. And as my daughter was starting to play volleyball, something that I see with Hawaii players versus the continent players, the U.S. continent players, is they like to hit, whereas Hawaii players is pass. Like, pass is a huge thing, and that's what I see with you. And because I've been to a camp that you were coaching or helping out with, and I see with Coach Robin, is pass is very important.
Yeah, I would say early on we were so competitive because volleyball was like a West Coast sport.
Yeah,
Um, all the good teams were on the West: San Diego State, Santa Barbara, UCLA, USC, that kind of thing. So that's how we kind of got on the map. We could hang with these teams and play with them. But then we started winning, and it just started to grow in Hawaii. I remember the first telecast. Um, After people watched that, they wanted to come to the gym. And you mentioned Club Gym, but that's where it all got started, where the fan
Mhm.
base started to grow because we were on TV, we were successful, we were winning. And so that kind of carried over to the 90s, through the 70s, 80s, 90s. We were really competitive, and people began to know the game. It's amazing how many people in Hawaii know volleyball. And they don't just watch. You go to Nebraska, half the people, there are 10,000 people there, but half of them only cheer because they win the point. They don't cheer the other team. They don't appreciate the other team. Our fans appreciated good volleyball, period. So it wasn't a hostile environment so much as they just love the game, right? And then what started to happen back when the men were really, really, really good, you had women's volleyball fans who liked women's volleyball better because of the digging and the passing and the rallies, and there was more excitement for them. And then you had the men's fans who loved the power, yeah? Pass, set, boom, pow, point over. And so that's what they like, yeah? And so you had women's fans, and then you had men's fans, and there was a little bit of crossover, but not too much, because the women had their 7,000 people, and then the men started doing really well, and they had their, but now it's like, it's more of a crossover, yeah? There's more, people just love volleyball itself. The state is just bonkers about volleyball. If you go down to any gym around town, all these kids are asking for lessons. There's 50 girls clubs on the island. There's 25 boys. I mean, it's just amazing from this little state how much volleyball is loved and played and enjoyed by a lot of people. That's why we had 4 Olympians from Hawaii. I'm counting Garrett Muagatatia, whose wife grew up here, and Micah Christensen, Micah Ma, and Eric were on the team. I mean, that's unheard of for 4 kids from the same area, yeah, to be on the Olympic team. So Hawaii is still kind of the mecca of youth volleyball. We're still putting out a lot of players. You look all over the country, there's Hawaiian players. This girl from Iolani, who my son helps out, she's going to Ohio State in 2 years. You had the girl from Iolani go to Stanford doing well. I mean, they're all over the country. So we're still making an impact all over the country.
Yeah. So a couple of comments from our family. Here's Steve Yagadyan. He lives in San Diego, originally from the Aina right here. He goes, when T. Williams was playing, Wahine Volleyball was cranking.
Well, that is true, but we had a lot of other good players, and we had 4 national championships. So you can't just, you can talk about T. Williams, who was an amazing player. We had many, many amazing players.
Yeah.
So she was just one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the amazing story about T. Williams was back then you had to qualify from high school. You had to have a certain GPA, take certain courses to qualify to play. Same way it is today, but T was not a qualifier for some reason. It wasn't grades. It was, I think, credits. She didn't have enough credit in math or something like that. But so she had to sit out a year. No one could recruit her. She had to actually walk on. And so she came to Hawaii. We were really fortunate. And then she played 3 more years. So there was a little bit of a story behind her coming here.
Interesting. Yeah. Robert Agnew says, I used to go natatorium in Waikiki, watch the firemen play volleyball every weekend. Yeah, that was a...
Well, the funny story about that is that's where Robin Amo grew up, at the natatorium, because her father, Talmadge, used to play down there. I don't know if he was a fireman, but they played fireman style. Have you ever seen that?
No.
It's like this kind, any kind, but it was really, really good, fun to watch. And to this day, Robin will tell you that's where I learned my volleyball.
Wow.
And she grew up down the natatorium. They would the nets were on this malka of the facade, yeah. I think they had 1 or 2 courts, but it was hilarious to go down and watch, because I was at Outrigger, right, and we were playing, all kind of rules. Throw, you can't throw, You got to do this. You got to pass it. No, down there it was like any kind. Yeah, it was hilarious.
So fireman volleyball is any kind, man. Whatever to get the ball over
Yeah,
the net.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Kay says I used to walk from my home at UH to watch Wahine Volleyball. Gee-hoo, amazing. Yeah, she's one of the fans
Oh,
there.
thank you.
And here's let me see. It's oh, here's C Honda. She goes, volleyball is life there. Here, she's talking about West Coast, basically not recognized. By the way, UH just beat my school, Long Beach State.
Oh wait, I think it was a sweep.
I was
Yeah,
not just
it
a
was.
beat, it was a sweep.
In the
Well,
pyramid.
it's amazing that attendance wise on the West Coast, it's very, very, I would say, sparse.
Mm.
Long Beach actually has a really good following, so they have good crowds there. But if you go to a UCLA game or a USC game, there might be 1,000 people there. Might
Wow.
be 1,000.
Huh.
The Midwest is really catching on now. Nebraska sells out every game. Wisconsin sells out. Purdue sells out. The Big Ten does well. Texas has their small gym, but it's still sold out.
Mm.
Even in the SEC down south, where my daughter is, Florida has a good following. Georgia Tech has a good following. Penn State's always done really well. So it's the other parts of the country, not so much on the West Coast anymore.
Yeah. Here's C Honda James. James, ouch.
The truth hurts.
And here's Steve from San Diego. He goes, wow, anything goes, island volleyball. I love watching Robin Amao coach now. I miss seeing her play too. So Steve regularly watches Wahine volleyball. And our good buddy Marty, what's up, Marty? Marty has a pop-up bakery, Broke Them Out Bakery in Southern California. And he says Jesse's daughter, Leah Sapolo, played college volleyball on Oahu. I don't know if it was for the Wahines or another team, but this is Jesse Sapolo, great football great. Lila Sapolo. Yeah. All righty then. If you just joined us, some of you just joined us, welcome. We're have James Money. So great to have James jump in and hang out with us. James is a stand-up comic. He's an actor. He's a podcaster. All-around good guy. The first Samoan, the first to do stand-up comedy on American TV, and TV has not been the same since. I just have to tell you that.
It tilts on one side now. It's too heavy.
And with us, legendary, he doesn't like to be called a legend, but too bad, coach. Legendary coach Dave Shoji, who stepped away from the coaching position 7 years ago, 2017. And he has looked back, but he's looked forward. And when we come back from the break, let's talk about life after volleyball, if you will, as a head coach. And we're going to be back after this a short break. So hang in there, guys. There's more to come on the Aloha Friday video podcast. Did you ever get that out of your hair, all of that stuff, Coach? Just
That was a
relive,
fun night.
relive that moment, if you will. All of that with that energy and that clam, that crowd noises and all of that.
Yeah, a little bit of a background, but that was Andy Banikowski in the background there with me, and it was that night that I broke his record for the most collegiate
Ah,
wins in history. So that's why he was there. We invited him. I think we brought him over. I brought him over, but he wanted to share that moment with me because it was special. Because we went back all the way to the '70s, mid '70s. We coached against each other, and we always had a great relationship. It wasn't ever heated. We always wanted to win, but we would. I think at the end we were like 35 and 35 against UCLA, which was
wow.
just amazing. Yeah, but that night was special, and I don't know if I got. I think I got a haircut the next day or to get that stuff out of my. Yeah, that
um,
was a fun night.
Steve Yagagan, and he's talking to James. He goes, "Malo Uso, this this Akakasi boy from San Diego." Steve Yagagan is a close friend of mine. He is half Filipino, half Samoan, yeah, and so when we go to San Diego, we party at Steve's place. He's a good brother. So that's great. I want to show this picture here, Coach, and I got to go. Let me find it right now. Um, this was called the Cookie Monster. Can you talk about the Cookie Monster, please?
To be honest, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, well,
uh,
well. It apparently, as I was reading, it apparently was a warm up exercise, a team building exercise where you throw someone up in the air.
oh,
You
yeah,
throw
yeah,
someone
yeah,
up in the
yeah.
air, and they had this over here was this at your retirement party, which they tossed you up in
Oh,
the air and
yeah, yeah.
everybody caught you, and it was called the Cookie Monster.
I don't know why it's called that because I think they might have tried to drop me. Like it was one of those things you trust your teammates, or
uh,
something like that. I don't know. I honestly don't remember.
maybe they
Yeah,
did drop you on it.
I think they wanted to drop me.
But it was supposed to be a team building exercise on trust, as you said, for uh, for the team there, Coach. Oh my goodness! Um,
Can I put Coach on the spot real quick?
please,
Go ahead,
it's
James.
good.
All right.
Yeah.
So here's uh, now obviously no bias or anything to any other players, but if from all the players that off the top of your head that you can remember, if you had to make one team, maybe just I guess six, or if you want to pick eight, because I know rotations happen, who would be a team like I don't want to say the greatest Wahine volleyball team of all time, but if you picked from all over, one of my favorite players was Mahina Eleneki because she was very short, but she could get up. I always liked the underdog players like that. Um, I guess so. Some of the names I could think of off the top of my head, I guess it'd be like Susanna Agee. Was it Susanna? Was that her name?
Suzanne. Yeah,
Willoughby.
Suzanne.
Yes, Robin is a setter. So if you could pick 6 to 8 players off the
Good
top of your
question.
head to make
Yeah.
the best Wahine team of all time,
Ooh.
You're gonna cause me a lot of problems because if I leave off anybody's name that she thinks it should be on this list, then I'm going to hear about it in about 5 minutes. So that's a tough one. But you mentioned Mahina Eleneki, but on the same team there was a young lady who was a little bit taller, but she was an amazing player as well as Bonnie Govea, and she was on that first national championship team in 1979. So those two were similar kind of players, local. Yeah, I think one went to Castle, one went to Kailua, something like that. I don't really remember, but on the '79 team we had some amazing players. I'm going to try to go by eras, but Diane Sebastian was our first really really big recruit. Yeah, we we got her from UCLA, and she was the first legit tall person. So she made All-American 1979. She was just a great player for us. But you mentioned Kim Willoughby. Obviously, she's one of the best players ever in the program. But alongside of her on the same team was Lily Kahumoku, who was an amazing player as well. So we had kind of bookends. When one went to the front, the other went to the back. We didn't lose anything. So those two were just talented volleyball players. I'm going to space on all these names now. One of the recent players that comes to my mind is Emily Hartong, I think she was like 4-time All-American, first team All-American, or at least twice. But we converted her from the middle to the outside. She took a lot of swings for us. There are just so many, James. I don't even know where to start. Yeah. Obviously, Robin was 3-time Olympian. And the really thing I remember about Robin was that she started the first match she was in the Wahine program as an outside hitter. That's how stupid I was. You know, and I think we lost. And funny thing about her, she's what we call goofy footed. So she doesn't have the right approach. Yeah, she's a left-right kind of closer rather than right-left, which most players are. I don't know if many people would know the difference, but she was goofy-footed, so her shoulders just wouldn't turn the right way. She was backwards, so she had a hard time, but she had a live arm. That's why I made her into a hitter.
Wow.
And I realized after about 5 or 6 games that, no, this is not working. So then she became the setter, and 3-time Olympian later. It's like, oh, coach, you had her as an outside hitter. Sorry.
I give her a lot of heat when I see her because she went to IA Intermediate. We're the same age. So I knew her from IA Intermediate. But then when we went to high school, and a year older than me was Jocelyn Robbins at IA High School. And Robin went to McKinley.
Right.
And we're like, so as we grew up in the high school, it's like, why did she go there? She was at IA. Holy cow, we would have been so good. But things happen.
Funny, you mentioned Jocelyn Robbins, whose daughters play a lot of volleyball, and one of them was on the national championship team at Texas. And but this guy named Rodney Cavaco was the coach at IA.
Yep.
And I would see him from time to time, and he goes, "Hey, Dave, I got this girl who's a cheerleader, but when she jumps in cheerleading, she jumps like 35 inches." I'm like, "Come on." He goes, "No, I want her to play volleyball." So about 1 or 2 years later, I see him, and he goes, "Dave, this girl's good. She left cheerleading." She's a cheerleader.
Yeah.
And now she's playing volleyball. And she ended up starting for us on a really, really good team with Angelica and Robin, and was a great outside hitter, 5'8", another one of these small Hawaiians, that just could play volleyball. So that's a funny story about her. But I don't know how Robin ended up at McKinley. Maybe it was because she played for that club team, Kamali'i. Yeah, that she might have gone over there, but she has quite a history. She's another one that I don't think academics were her priority. She was just a local kid, happy, played volleyball, not too interested in school. Barely qualified, I think. I don't think she'll mind me telling you this, but barely qualified to go to college. Had no interest in going to college except for maybe furthering her volleyball career. And then look at her now. Yeah. She, amazing progression for a local kid. Yeah. That just loved volleyball, but there was a means to get somewhere else. So amazing story about Robin.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool that you stuck with her and you brought her along because I know it. For me, with again bringing up Coach Wendell Say at High School, I would see when I started coaching, I would see other players. It's like, why that player? Why is that? Why you put so much energy into that player? That person doesn't care. They're not doing. They don't come to every practice or. And then Coach Say would say, some of these kids, this is all they have. So this might be the thing that saves their lives as far as their future. And I've seen it where some of these kids, I was like, why are we working so hard on this kid? And the kid ends up going to college. I mean, look at Robin's her career, her life, and then it helps her children, and she's helping other, like even my daughter's on her team. So that's awesome. And you stick with people and you help build them up and develop them into, citizens. So it's awesome.
Yeah. So, James.
Well, we just got to remember back when, June Jones, even Dick Tomey took a lot of players that just had to have a second chance, yeah? And they turned out to be amazing people for us. They grew up responsible people, great football players, but they got a second chance and made the most of it too. In football, I know that they took a lot of heat for that, but they saved lives basically. Yes.
Yeah, James, I wanna just go back here to the number 14, Tyler Reese Mane, outside hitter, 6'1". Tell us about her journey with volleyball as well here, James.
So the funny thing is, when she was 6, I put her in soccer. Me playing football, my strength was I had really good footwork for somebody who was 6'7", and in college I was 6'5", 315 pounds. But I ran the 40 like 5 flat, and I had really good footwork, and that was always my strength. So when I went to play at University of Buffalo, Buffalo Bills was taking a look at me, and I was only going into my sophomore year. We had I guess I can say now I'm no longer there, but we had illegal meetings. This is back in 93, 94. You're not supposed to talk to recruiters. Where we're at TGI Fridays, I'm sitting at one table with my college coach, and the next table is Buffalo Bills recruiters. And we're not facing each other, but we're talking to each other. And so they were saying that, you really good footwork and yada. So I knew that whatever my child would whatever sport she played, and she was born 22 inches. I knew she was tall. She was going to be tall. So I was like, she needs good footwork. I was thinking she probably might play basketball. So she stayed in soccer. She loved soccer, played soccer from 6 years old all the way to high school. And then soccer coaches are very, very tough. I'd say soccer girls are very tough because of that and how physical that sport is. So when she went and she was introduced to volleyball by Coach Blythe Yamamoto at IAEA, and found a different environment where everybody's supportive. Good job. Hey, right back. Go get him, And she fell in love with that, and she ended up taking that route. She went to, because her senior year was canceled because of COVID, she played her junior year and didn't have enough film for coaches to see and then recruit her. She had a lot of soccer footage, but not much for volleyball. So she ended up going to Casper, Wyoming for 2 years, junior college. And unfortunately didn't really develop there. I'm not going to talk bad about whatever the coach of the program, but maybe it's something, I wish she had worked on. She would come home during the summer, and that's where she met you, Coach Shoji, in Dillingham. Is it Volley, Hawaii? You were doing one of the camps there. Mark was doing one. And so she started to learn there and develop there. Came back after her sophomore year and was going to go to St. Martin's in Lacey, Washington. But they were only offering partial scholarship and out of state. It's like $50,000 for the tuition. So I took her to Coach James Anastasiadis, his training. He was a fan. He's a fan of mine. He saw me do comedy, so he started kind of took her under her wing and taught her how she was hitting was wrong, and then introduced her to I don't know if it's Kainoa or one of the coaches, assistant coaches for with Robin, and then they saw her and then they let her walk on. So she's a walk on athlete, um, and it's kind of because I think the when you have a high school athlete, your goal is get a scholarship, get a scholarship. I'm learning now that not like I didn't know Cope Brennan was a walk on. There's a lot of athletes that are walk-ons that do well too. You don't have to have the scholarship, and luckily she's in state. I'm a broke comedian. I'm not like Tumua Tuine making all the money, so she qualifies for a lot of the financial aid. And when Coach Robin took her and saw her, and she said, "Oh, she doesn't have to try out. She's on. She she's very athletic. She's very excited that Tyler has very good footwork and is very athletic and is coachable. As far as getting playing time, and me as a coach and as a former jock, I would never, you know, I would never be one of those parents like, hey, yada yada yada, and start talking to the coaches. It's a battle within my daughter. I tell her, it's like, all right, you know what you need to do. How do you spend your free time? Get it done, or enjoy the game from the sideline. And it's something that she says she knows what she needs to do. She needs more time to work on it. She's late to the sport. A lot of these girls have been playing since they were little, and I like the challenge because when things are given to you, and she knows this, I always preach it. You don't really appreciate when you do get it, and it builds the character, and so that's what she's going through now at UH. She does get some playing time, but I mean, when the people around you, like Kaylin Alexander, who hits like 30 kills almost every night, that's you're going up against some really, tough competition, which I think is good because then now you're overachieving and trying to reach that level. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, I love that she has this instead of being somewhere where you know I'm comfortable with where I'm at, and you don't grow from that. So I like that she's in an uncomfortable place.
Hmm.
I don't
Interesting.
know if that makes
Yeah.
sense to you guys.
Yeah. 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 Here's Pat. Pat Wong, a good friend of mine in Southern California. She goes, Coach Soji was my Kalani High School coach. He took us to state champions 1973. What's up, Patty? She went to Kalani High School. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I got my start in coaching. Yeah, I had Nalani Spencer, who was our star player, but she was good enough to take us to the state. The states were in Molokai,
Oh.
and
Wow.
so we were so excited to go over there and play. I think we got third in the state, Punahou won, but that was 1971 or something like that. I still
uh,
see some of the guy. I coach the boys too. Edgar Palafox, I see. Zabriskie boys, I see. Um, so our roots go way back.
yeah.
I'm from New Valley, so Kalani was perfect for me. I love being over there, and I did my
Wow.
student teaching over there at Kalani too. So
Nice.
go Falcons, go Falcons.
Here's Marty. Nappy is a friend of ours. His name is Kevin Napoleon. He's actually from Nanakuli side, and he went to UH High. He says Nappy's son-in-law Gerald is a very accomplished girls' high school coach out there. I don't know what the last name is, Marty, but yeah. So there you go. And let me see one more jumping in. Oh, there's Patty. She goes, yes, state championship in Molokai. She remembers playing there. Wow. I can't believe an hour has passed by. We just talk story over here, and good fun. Let me see, James. Before we let Coach go, anything else? Let me think. He's
Yeah, I got one. So I wanted to ask your opinion regarding the San Jose State women's volleyball team with the transgendered player. Now,
Oh,
there's I think 4 schools have uh, forfeited the games they didn't want to play. And I just wanted to get your opinion on that. Um, my opinion, I'll say it so that you get you started. I guess I think the women in sports with Title IX have fought so hard for equality. They didn't want more than what the men were getting. They just wanted to be equal. And for this to be thrust on them, I think it's like, why do they have to carry this burden? I don't have a solution. I wish they could come up with a solution so that the women can still get what they deserve, but not have to carry this. Maybe make a transgender uh, division, or where they can play in that division. I'm not sure. I just think, as because people ask me, because I'm a girl dad whose daughter is currently playing in college, and I tell them it's like, I don't think it's fair, but I hope they do find a solution. What is your opinion on this, Coach?
Well, my opinion, it's unfair. The NCAA has come out with their guidelines, and she or he passes whatever that guideline is, so they're allowing her to play. Now, I've seen film on this person, and this person hits like a guy. She
Mm,
jumps really high, even though, I mean, testosterone level probably is legal, under the legal limit, but you don't lose all that much by going over. I've seen her, and so it's a safety thing with the teams that have pulled out. I know Boise State pulled out. There's a bunch of
mm,
Mountain West teams that have not played San Jose State. They've pulled out because they're concerned about the safety of their players, which I agree
mm,
with. If you saw this person hit, it's pretty amazing. If she gets one cross court into the off blocker area, she could bean somebody in the head, and that's very dangerous. So, on the other hand, on this, I know there's a girl on San Jose State's team from Iolani. I know the parents, and this person didn't come out until this year. She played all of last year. No one knew she was a transgender. Um, this is my understanding now. This is what the parents are telling me. Until midway, well, like in the third or fourth game, they finally confronted her because she never dressed in the locker room. She'd come, go home, after practice, that kind of thing. So all the players at San Jose State, they're not behind this at all. Not some of
mm,
them are, and some of them aren't. In fact, one is filed suit with the NCAA or against the NCAA about transgender athletes. So it's really dicey even on the campus at San Jose State. So
wow.
very controversial. I'm surprised it hasn't gotten more play in the national media.
Mm,
It's pretty quiet right now, but like you say, I think 4 teams have forfeited games to San Jose State. Anyway, I
yeah.
don't think it's fair. That's just my opinion, though.
Here's Marty Burns. I don't support it at all. Too much power and strength to contend with. All right. All righty. Oh my goodness. We are at the top of the hour. It's been a fun ride, Coach. Thanks so much for coming on board and playing with us here on our virtual Paina, our virtual talk story over here. Appreciate it very
Yeah.
much. So thank you. And we have some folks. Let me see. You want to say? Um, SK Bennett, she says, Mahalo, Coach James, and to my honey Kamaka. Thank you. Thank you. Mahalo, okay. Yeah, thank you, honey. She, uh, Marty Burns says the last name is hard to pronounce. Okay. Well, and C. Honda says, thank you, Dave and Kamaka, and even James. She's still holding that against you, James. How about
The beach.
the beach. And Kalani Falcon, Patricia Shimamoto, Patricia Wong, who's a friend of mine that played for Coach Dave Shoji over here. That's so great. Well, the Aloha Friday video podcast is something that happens every single Friday. It's good times. It's always good times. We always have interesting guests, and we're just really grateful to have the coach join us over here. So we're going to say mahalo, mahalo nui loa, and thank you so much, Coach. We will see you next time on the Aloha Friday show. You guys all have a great day. What's going to happen right now actually is, Coach Shoji is going to go back into the green room right over there. I think still get some leftover. James, you left over any of the marlin or what? All gone. All gone.
When you have a Samoan in the room, there is no leftovers.
Thank you, everybody. You guys have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us over here. Mahalo, everybody. You guys have a great weekend. And here's Kamaka saying, aloha no, you guys. Take care.
People say